We locked ourselves up in these amazing cities with air conditioning and plumbing, and we are more miserable than ever. And all we want to do is get back to the point where we can live on the land and talk to a damn tree.
We want that.
Yeah.
The people that are with us want that. But there's unfortunately a dark side to what you're explaining as well. And this dark side is the 15-minute cities. Have you seen this? They're building them in Saudi Arabia. All the comforts and convenience. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Klaus Schwab and his minions. Look, these people in their hearts, they probably have some good. I don't think all human beings come into the world inherently evil. That's not what I'm saying. But the dark side of which you speak is real. It's palpable. And I wonder how you feel, how this infects the mind. How do we even allow that to infect our mind? This Wetiko that we talked about with Paul Levy on the show, this Native American explanation for a mind virus or a dark energy virus. Some people could call it demonic energy or dark energy. I wonder how you'd describe it. I'm sure you see it metastasize into people, and that probably shapes and cultivates attachment styles itself.
I think we're all measuring something that has shifted over the last 110 years. All of us have determined, and the research keeps pointing back, and different philosophies keep pointing back to the last 110 years, beginning in the 1910s. Something drastically shifted, and we're all measuring it differently. I look at attachment theory, and I look at the attachments that have shifted since then, the family patterns. Other people will look at industrial change. And I was just reading the other day about the accelerated rate of technology changes, even in the last year or even the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe financial world. I know you came from the financial backing at one point as well. And that's helped me a lot. Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
But all of us, we keep saying the last 110 years, something is very different. It's very out of character for even humanity. Something has changed. And we definitely are reaching a massive climax point. Right? We talk about, right, we are in a crisis right now. Humans with attachment theory, my thing. We are meant to break in certain ways where our minds and our relationships break. And that's what attachment issues are, is you're adapting to an extreme environment where no one will care for your needs. So you shift out of a mode where you will be loving and connected and secure, and you shift into an insecure method for surviving in a bad environment. Now, I said at the beginning of this that Gen Z, 65% of them have that adaptation.
Where do you get that data from?
That's what the research is showing. Over the last 20 years, they've done at least 5 studies showing an increase. The boomers were 35%, Gen X and Gen Y, and even the millennials were about 50%. Yeah. Gen Z now is up into 35%, and they're just barely beginning to try to figure out the next generation. But it's not promising.
They have to pull off their Facebook goggles in order to even speak to them.
It's insane. So the measurements show like we are living in a collapse of some sort or a catastrophic
It's a meta crisis.
It is. Yeah. And people don't realize it because our systems are sort of keeping us compliant and happy. We still have Netflix, we still have DoorDash.
Yeah.
So but more spiritually and mentally and socially collapsing, we are definitely in that right now. And everybody knows it, and no one can point their finger at it and say it because they feel crazy saying it. But we are all measuring it in all our different fields, and we keep seeing it.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with the separation of mother from children and father from children. I mean, look at all the ways that specifically Hollywood, I can't say it here on the podcast because honestly, I don't want to get censored and I don't want to get threats in my inbox because I've alluded to it before, but there is an extremely dark energy in Hollywood, very dark. And I know a couple actors, one specifically this year who lost his life, and he shared some information with me. The darkness and the propaganda that is coming out of Hollywood is unfucking precedented. It has never existed in the way that it exists now. And by the way, when did talkies happen? Early 1900s. As soon as films, Hollywood specifically on the west coast of California, as soon as films started to teach people what life should be, that's when you saw the De Beers campaigns coming out where you should spend at least 2 months' salary on a ring. All the propaganda machine started in the early 1900s. Hitler used that same propaganda machine when he did the whole, world implosion with the Nazis. So what I'm saying is like, we are up against an incredible Goliath. The only way to defeat it is actually not to fight it. It's actually to just return to the family as the family was designed. Mother at home. Yes, mother at home. We've had Teal Swan on the show saying the biggest threat to children is the mom not being there. That's the biggest threat. And then I also think with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, where men were gone all day long and they get back home and they're exhausted, they can't even spend time with their kids. I've felt this at times, me personally. I think that is woven into some of the tapestry that is actually harming us on such a deep level that maybe only now, 100 years later, we're seeing the fallout from that. Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I fully agree. The family is the one thing that is massively under attack right now. It was the last thing that was holding everything together. It's the beginning of our life. It's the end of our life. Family is everything, and people don't realize that. We have thrown it so far aside that when I sit here and say, family is everything, people will laugh at that. People will scoff. They say, how stupid. Why would that man even say something that idiotic? Family's not that big of a thing. Family is and always has been that big of a thing. And I think that there's a massive war on the family right now. And I don't say that like, that group over there, but it's this like we are, our data nodes are going to war over what role family should play, right? Some people would say 0. Some people would say 100, everything. And we need to really bear that out. I think that's the biggest fight that we are in right now is what role does a family play in a human life?
This is fascinating because, and I know you're about to say something good. I have to ask you this.
Go for it.
You have a deep relationship with Jordan. I'm sure you guys still have a relationship in many ways, yes?
It's, let's just say it's been on pause ever since he recovered because the experience we've gone through was so traumatic for him, for me too, that in 2021, we kind of met for the last time. I think it was around November. Okay. And he just said, hey, man, I'm not going to be able to talk to you for a while. And we haven't really connected really since. There's been some, some drama and some issues, obviously, with the divorce and whatnot. But we've left an impact on each other, and I think we're still working through whatever the heck that is.
Sure. Well, the only reason I ask is because I've quoted him many times on the show. And regardless of your personal relationship, I just think there's so much wisdom that comes from him. Now, is he a 100% perfect messenger? I don't know who is. I don't think that's possible.
I don't think anybody is.
To be 100% perfect. But one of the things that he talks about is this lobster effect and being the lobster.
Yes.
And it even has a suit where there's like lobsters all over.
He likes lobsters. I concur.
I think that we are really just scared to embody the wisdom of nature. I like the analogy he makes with the lobster because it's like a nature analogy. And I think we all can just get that. It's like
if a lobster can get it, you can get it.
If a lobster can get it, you can get it. But also like we see this when like rams butt heads, or there's just certain wisdom that we all learn from nature that I think he does a good job of articulating through the lobster. And I think it really points to what I wanted to ask again before that now I'm glad we're coming back around to, and that is this pity aspect. When men are pitied, what is actually happening physiologically? I know on an emotional level, we had Zach Bush on the show that complimented what you're saying by saying, yeah, it's not pity, or it's actually not like, oh, I feel so bad for you. It's actually reverence and respect for what you're going through as a man or even as a woman, but especially to speak to the men.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than pity. What is the core difference between reverence and pity?
Let me answer it this way. Internally, we have a hunger, and that hunger cannot be satisfied by food, by water, by air. Right? It is a hunger for something that we get from this world. It can either be one of two things. It is going to be either a hunger for love, or it is going to be a hunger for fear. So what I mean by that is you have to satisfy yourself by drawing on energy and resources from the world that satisfy your spirit, not your body. Most people, and this is when you guys were talking about, what's going on with the world, what is really that dark energy? Most of the world is living in a state where they're trying to consume things to satisfy their fear. They're driven by that fear. They're driven by wanting more money, more sex, better weapons, bigger land, because they're trying to satisfy that. People like yourselves, you stepped away and you said, we don't want to live with fear. We want to actually live for love. And the desire to live for love is what is the main driver of your souls at the moment. You flipped, you stepped off the fear merry-go-round. You're actually trying to draw on love from your family, which is what you teach, right? From yourself in your body, your connection with spirituality and religion, Josh. So you're now trying to source love as opposed to source fear. When you go and you pity a man, you're saying something so terrible is happening to you that I am scared for you. And you should be scared for yourself. And you're feeding that fear hunger. So he has to go now and find more power, find more aggression, find more dominance, find something to combat that and to expand aggressively or to expand protectively or to retreat. But if you go in and you go give reverence, you say, you are being challenged and I respect you for it. You're projecting love. You're giving them the energy vibe, and you're saying, I am giving my attention, my soul, my energy to you so you can go and fight this for the good fight, for the good purpose. You're empowering them. Rather than scaring them, as you would scare a little kid, you're encouraging them through that reverence. And what that changes, it changes everything, right? It says, I don't need to go and find, more power in this dangerous or difficult situation. I now need to find that best higher calling road, the part of the tapestry that is good, where you're actually committing good deeds and good actions and expanding the presence of good in the world in order to continue to be revered in this way that is feeding my soul, right? You're actually feeding the nice, good, positive parts as opposed to dark, fearful parts.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Click the link if you want to watch the full episode, and I will see you in the next video.